Bonjour, everybody. Hi. Good Tuesday morning. This is Neshi here at Star Nations Organization's main fan page doing our morning live stream for the card draw of the day. It's a good day here in Toma, Wisconsin. It's Tuesday morning. It's a little overcast and humid. Very humid for here. It's a good morning. I like Tuesdays. Tuesdays are extremely busy days here at Star Nations. Why? Good morning, Elise. Because we have several Star Nations live stream shows on Tuesdays. Good morning, Margaret. Thank you for being here with me this morning for the card draw information. I was just saying that on Tuesdays, I like Tuesdays because it's busy. We have 3 shows, 4 including this one, because I'm not really calling it a show. Elise calls it the non-show. Oh, you're having storms where you live. Margaret, where do you live? Are you from Michigan too? I don't remember where you reside. But anyway, Tuesdays, we just finished up Mervyn Kelly's live stream show From Star to Stone. And I like his show. He comes from a perspective that is vastly interesting to me. The Druidry. He's a modern day Druid, and today he was talking about magic and some of the stones or crystals that can help us along our way as we understand magic. And he helped to expand, I think, a lot of people's belief definition of what magic is. And so if you have a chance, if you didn't catch the live show, watch the recorded show. Go to his page, From Star to Stone, and you can see it there. Or you can go to our main fan page because I shared it to the fan page. You can see it there too. It was a great show. After this is done, this live stream, then it's going to be Polly Jo LeBay for chakra sessions at noon Eastern. And she's talking about intuition today. And really it's about embracing our gifts, our intuitive gifts. And she always does a guided meditation for healing aspects of the chakras for the topic that she's discussing that day. So it's kind of like a class, actually, because she gives us lots of good information, and then does the healing meditation, right? It's good stuff. And then my show this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, Communications from Home. My guests are Carol and Orchard Franklin, and we're going to be talking about the ego this evening, the dissolving of the ego. And wanted to talk about it with Franklin's because I know that they can bring information that will help us understand what some of us have experienced, some of us are going through with our ego, and see it from a higher perspective, that 5th dimension and where we're all spending more and more time in, So join me at 8 with Franklin's. But today, this morning, right now, in the present time, is the card draw. And for those who don't know, we're using the Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams. And we started this in May, doing the live stream shows. I was actually doing card draws for quite a while and posting like a sentence or two, a quote, on our Instagram account. And I'd been doing that since probably last fall. And in May, I decided that maybe the community here at Star Nations on Facebook would enjoy some of the back information. Now, I'm going to be asking something that I don't normally do on this because it's, like I said, it's a live stream show, but we're not using our partners at Be Live for this show for a couple reasons. One is that it's another way to reach people. And I'm also doing some experiments with reach and organic reach and all of that stuff, and having fun at the same time. But this morning, and actually it started last night, I should say, the busyness. I was on our monthly Skype call with my sisters. We do that every month, and I make time for it. Being busy, I make time for it because those women are very important in my life. And so our call went a much longer than it usually does. And so I didn't get to do a lot of posting that I would normally do because I was out playing. I was having fun. So anyway, this morning, I usually post a good morning, join Neshi for the card draw. I didn't get to do that this morning. So for those people who are in the live chat or watching the recorded show, if you wouldn't mind sharing this live stream, liking it and sharing it, because that way I'm hoping that it will help reach people that I would normally have reached this morning, right? Right. Hey, Mary, I love it because you join us every morning with your sister, Elise. Good morning, Elise. She says, pray I can find somewhere to place her. History you wouldn't believe, but I'm losing my mind, what's left of it. So glad you're there. Hugs to both moms. Well, thank you. Yeah. When Elise, that Mervyn and I are doing a special series on caregiving for elderly parents, but really it could fit anybody who's doing caregiving, right? And I know that the people that we care for, that we have brought into our lives to help them, right? I know that they're very appreciative of what we do with them and for them. And I'm sure Mary appreciates you a great deal because she loves you, right? You love each other, you're sisters. And so sure, we can hold that sacred space for you and Marie. For Marie to have a happy, safe home, no matter where she lives, and a loving, caring, compassionate, helpful people to help provide that service for her, right? To have a what do they call it? A quality life. Let's call it a really good, outstanding, optimal life, wherever that may be, and whether it continues to be with you, Elise, or if there's a place that you and Mary can identify and locate and agree on. It's there. It's there. We'll do some magic. We'll tap into that information that Mervyn shared with us this morning, and we can hold that sacred space for you. Sure, here at Star Nations. Why not? Why not, Elise? We'll hold that space for you and Mary. Yeah, lots of love, right? Right. Hey, that kind of goes into the card draw for today. This is the card that Spirit brought in this morning. Is called Cradleboard, the ability to respond. I'm going to show it just a little bit closer so you can see the artwork. Hopefully it's in focus. For those that might not know what a cradleboard is, a cradleboard is a structure made usually from bendable wood. It's a framework that's covered with like deerskin or something like that, buffalo skin, something soft that actually holds the baby in place, so that the parent, whether it's a mom or in modern days or the dad, can go about their day working, doing things with their hands and that sort of thing, and the baby is safe. In modern days, we all see it. It's the parents who have kind of like the backpack kind of thing. They got the straps and the baby's in the back. Or what do they call those snuggles? They're kind of like it goes across the body. It's fabric, and the baby kind of sits inside, and so the baby is very close to the parent's body. Those are very similar. They have the same job to do, and that is to protect and hold the baby. In a Native American sense, the cradleboard is something that that can be found that our ancestors used all the way across Turtle Island. It's one of those common threads, right, from nation to nation, and that was how the child, a baby, was protected. All right, so the baby was actually placed inside it, and the cradle board usually had, like a I don't know what to call it. It would be up toward where the head of the baby is. It would be like a ledge, like a visor kind of situation. So it would protect the baby from direct sunlight, from rain, because our ancestors, they didn't have cars, they didn't have covered wagons, they traveled by walking or by horse, and so the baby was just as much exposed to the elements as their parents. And so the cradle board was actually a protection, not just a physical protection, but it protected the baby from all kinds of stuff. And so anyway, that is the cradle board, and the cradle board would be decorated. You can see the fringe on there, but there would also be beadwork or quill work. That would be porcupine quills that were dyed, and designs were made from using the quills. Yeah, so I've seen cradle boards, and actually, I don't know whatever happened to that. I'll have to ask my mom, because we used to have one. I used to hang in like one of the bedrooms when I was a kid, and I don't remember actually seen any baby in it. None of my nieces were put in it or anything like that. But on that particular cradle board, there was I want to call it a branch. It was like, it was a curved piece of wood that would be like right in front of where the baby would be lying. And so that there's things that would hang off of it. It'd be kind of like a modern day mobile over a crib, right? Very similar to that. And the parents would tie things on there so the baby could watch it, whatever that was, right? And so so the protection of the baby was paramount, because that's the future, right? And that's where the card kind of gets its information about the ability to respond. And at first, when I saw that, I said, how do you do that, Jamie Sams? How is a baby in a cradle board able to respond? And so she says that the cradle board frame is made from wood so that the body of the child can be supported. Okay, so that the body of the child can be supported and protected. She says that the traditional understanding of responsibility in the native way of thinking is the ability to respond. So the cradle board holds the responsibility of protecting the baby, protecting the body of the child from harm. So the cradle board has a responsibility in protecting the child, protecting the future. And so the child is in a position of being able to respond in a way that is much more balanced, and because of the support, think about this. When we humans, two-leggeds, are fully supported, protected, loved, surrounded by something beautiful, we are at a place where we are self-confident, okay? That we have a certain amount of courage and bravery, because we come from what's around us, supporting us is a stable environment. It's someplace that we know that we are safe. And so there's a part of us that can relax, and because we're not spending our energy trying to be safe, right? We can relax, which means that we can tap into our intuitions and our gifts so much easier. when our environment is stable, when it's a healthy environment, a protective environment. And so the responsibility of the Cradleboard is to provide that for the child. And in a way, it's kind of a metaphor, really, for that protection, because we can remember what that feels like. And as we grow, as we mature, we have the ability to draw on that, no matter how old we are. That we came from a place that is safe, that it's safe. You know, one of the things that Jamie Sams writes about, and she writes about how our ancestors, many of the tribal nations were nomadic, some more than others. And for instance, the tribes across the Mississippi, the Great River, were more nomadic because they literally followed the buffalo season to season. No matter where the buffalo went, they followed, because that was their source, the primary source of their food. East of the Mississippi, we didn't travel those huge distances. The distances we would travel would be going from our summer home to our winter home. So our summer home would be somewhere for a little bit further north of wherever you're in, environment you're in, because it's cooler, right? And in the wintertime, going south where it's a little bit warmer. But we were following the seasons. And when you do that, you're also following your food source. And so being that nomadic is that there had to be a way to be able to protect the child or children, especially when they're babies. And so the Cradleboard's responsibility was to protect the baby while the family was moving. It takes a lot to break camp. It takes a lot of energy to set a camp up. And so the mother, in this case, would have her hands free, because the baby could either be on her back or the baby could be, placed someplace in the Cradleboard to hang the Cradleboard up off the ground so the baby would be safe, or the Cradleboard would be strapped to a horse-drawn travois or wagon or something, right? And so the Cradleboard had a responsibility, and that was to keep the baby safe. She talks about the Cradleboard. It says, has always had the duty and responsibility of protecting the children. The symbol of the Cradleboard is much more. She says that we have been taught that our purpose in life is growth, understanding, and living in harmony. That's what we're all striving for, right? Is harmony. And that that when we see our life within the template of the medicine wheel, we can use that to perceive what we call past and future, present time. And she goes on to explain that when we are safe and we're looking backwards towards the past, we can rely on our ancestors' wisdom to help us make decisions, how to live your life in many ways. And so the Cradleboard has that responsibility to be able to help you keep safe, even in a metaphorical way. Okay, is that you have the structure. If you have the structure around you to be safe, you can look back and draw on the ancestors' wisdom, which we carry with us all the time. We have to take the time to remember and spend time with it, because we carry it in our blood and our bones, in our DNA. Okay, so we can tap into that ancestral wisdom anytime. She says that to respond to the present is to seek beauty in every moment of the day, using our gifts, talents, and abilities for the greatest good of all. As we walk gently on the Earth Mother, honoring the sacred space of all life forms, keeping a twinkle in our eyes and joy in our hearts, we learn gratitude for every blessings of life. So the ability to respond, right? That when you are in a stable place, a stable frame of mind and heart, you have the ability to respond. And we're talking about responding in the present time, using our gifts, our talents, that we can tap into those so much easier when our environment is safe and provides that structure for us. It's kind of like, I get the sense like it's, our home, our physical home, when it is a safe place, we thrive, right? We thrive. When it's not a safe place and we're constantly, trying to find our footing, and just being safe, having food, shelter, all of our energy goes to that. And we spend very little time with what some might call luxuries of life. I don't know, and we second guess ourselves a lot when we're in an environment that's not safe, that's not stable. And so it's really a way how we look at how we spend our energies and how we utilize our gifts. The ability to respond. I like the artwork on there too. And, we're noticing that the artwork carries something over, and that is the colors of the medicine wheel, including that blue color from the Seneca tradition. Yeah, it's kind of like, not quite turquoise, a little light blue. She says the ability to respond to future lies in understanding the present. We understand that the survival and well-being of the next 7 generations. And so the decisions we make right now in the present time will affect our descendants, will affect the children. And the Cradleboard actually holds the child, and that child is the symbol of our future generations. And so, it goes to the response, the responsibility is how are your decisions going to affect the children, the children's children, and the children? Several generations, 7. So what are we doing right now to make sure that they have what they need to thrive and survive? And that leads my mind to the protection of water, protection of Grandmother Earth, and what we're doing to extract things from her body. It brings my mind to the oceans and how much plastic is found in the oceans now. And what are we doing about it? What are we doing about it as the two-leggeds that put it there? We might not have been the actual person to use the plastics and put them in the garbage, but it's still a responsibility in our community, I think, to at least help inform so that people can make a better decision on their own on how they're going to dispose of their straws. I actually even went from using like a Keurig coffee machine because of those plastic containers for the coffee that you put into it. Yeah, we have a different coffee maker now where it's kind of like going back to old school, kind of, not quite all the way back, but using the paper filters and buying the coffee in more of a bulk kind of situation, so that the plastic cups aren't used anymore. Now I still have the machine, the Keurig machine, and I might actually bring that one up to the academy here. And there's the pre-measured cup that that if you wanted to grind your own coffee beans and use the Keurig, they have that little cup thing that you can use, and that's what we'll use here. We won't go out and buy the coffee in the little plastic disposable cups, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So it's little things like that can make a big difference if we're all doing. Making our decisions taking the ability to respond, how our decisions are affecting the future generations that are in that cradleboard. That's what it boils down to, our ability to respond. You know, Jamie Sams is quite a storyteller. I like the way she writes and what she shares. She shares about the prophecy of the cradleboard of creation, and she learned it from the two Kiowa grandmothers. She was saying that the cradleboard prophecy talks about the rainbow warriors and how the rainbow warriors may have lighter color skin, but they have a red heart. In other words, they have a Native American heart, a Native heart. They say that those rainbow warriors that tend to live a lifestyle closer to an indigenous lifestyle here on Turtle Island, that they are the reincarnation of tribal leaders coming back to help the people. And so we're really in it together, you know. Sometimes it's hard to discern what it is that we're sharing. And, you know, I was just in a conversation a couple of days ago about the appropriation of Native American lifestyle and beliefs and ceremony, especially the culture. And the appropriation is just a nice way of saying stealing, right? Well, I think that there is a fine line that when you recognize it, you realize that you can make a different decision. The appropriation or the taking of a ceremony, a Native American ceremony, out of context, when you've never been trained, when you were never been invited, you know, you may have seen pieces of it someplace, maybe not even the entire ceremony, and then you decide that this is what you're going to use. That is not right on so many levels. But if you are one of those people who are not native, not indigenous to Turtle Island, and you've been invited, and you have been trained, and that you use the ceremonies not to gain profit, but to be of service, that's an entirely different situation. In my book, that's just my 2 cents. Yeah. So being able to have the ability to respond, and I think that if you are one of those rainbow warriors, you have a soul contract to fulfill. Yeah. So do it in a good way. Elise is saying, just having one of those bad days. Plastic sucks. I know. I've changed over to all glass containers. Me too. Plastic is a man-made substance, so when we put anything in it, it's already contaminated. Think about the contact babies have since day one. Read a book about how it is affecting their genes. I know. It is far-reaching. But you know what? This is what I think, Elise, is that it's out of balance. It's out of balance. That the creation of plastic, when in balance and used for certain things, it's not an evil, terrible thing. But when it's out of balance, like anything else, it takes on a whole different aspect. Yeah, and it's in those decision makings. It's in the ability to respond, right? When we use plastic 100% of the time for our food, you know, that's out of balance. That's out of balance. Yeah. Yeah, I actually have a couple of some plastic straws here that were bought about 3 years ago for the Academy, and they're stir sticks, right? And I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, okay, what do I do with those? How do you take them to recycling? What do they do with them then? Do they melt them back down? How do they take care of that? So it's those kinds of questions and how to make the best decision to how to recycle those things, what to do with them, right? Yeah. So it's out of balance. She's saying, now Lisa's saying, I read this book 30 years ago. They talked about kids' feet getting bigger. Really? All I know is that the contamination from the plastic chemicals is leached into the soil too. And so if you're not eating organic food, chances are that you also have some of the chemicals from the plastic that's leached into the soil. And and they say what they say about drinking water from a plastic container, depending on how it's made and what kind of so that the plastic doesn't leach into the water. Yeah, it's just out of balance. And so if we can bring it back into balance in your own life, eventually what happens is that we're back into balance in larger and larger areas. Did you see those? It was a Facebook video that I saw, and I shared it. It was about a grocery store. I think it was in Sweden, Norway, where they sell almost everything in bulk, and that you have to bring your own containers. And so people bring their own containers. Some of them I did notice were plastic, but most of them were either glass or stainless steel. And so you'll take what you need. Take what you need, and so you don't have this large storage issue either. The huge pantries filled. And so anyway, that I thought, that is really great. I wonder how you get that started locally. I was showing it to my mom, and she says to me, she goes, "Oh, they're bringing back the old grocery stores." I said, "What do you mean old grocery stores?" She said, when she was a kid, and she was born in 1919. So we're talking like the 1920s, because she remembers her mother, my grandmother, going into a grocery store, and she said, and you would hand the list to the grocer, and the grocer would fill the list because almost everything was in bulk. And what they used were cotton bags, not plastic bags, but cotton bags. And they would tie them up, and measure them and all that. And she says, so they're just going back to the way we did it when I was a kid. And she said, that's nothing new. And she said, so and then she started sharing with me about how mail was delivered and how they had to walk into town to get their mail. So anyway, she was saying, and this organic stuff, you guys, the food that you buy that's really expensive, she says that was just food. None of our gardens had anything sprayed on them. There was no chemicals used. And so she said, so technically I've been eating organic food my entire childhood until she moved to Milwaukee and became an adult. And so that's what she sees is using old technology, a better way, she says, to live. Elise is saying, saw a show yesterday saying that plastic has been found all over the world and in the deepest parts of the ocean. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think I might have saw the same videos. I do want to meet your mom. Yeah, she's quite a lady, that she is. She had a really hard day yesterday. It was shower day, and those days just take a lot out of her. And she didn't sleep very well last night. So you add that on top of everything on a Tuesday, and what do you get, Anyway, Jamie Sams. Jamie Sams says that the races from the stars will come to assist the children of Earth in recultivating ecological balance, and some will go with them to learn these new and yet ancient knowing systems. I think we're already there. I do. I do. I think that energetically speaking, that we do reside in a different energy field than we did even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And there's more and more people awake, consciously living their life, walking their earth walk. There's many, many more people than there were in the 1990s. And so, the good side of this, the positive side of this, is that there's more and more people awake and looking at how do they make their ability, how is their ability to respond, right? That we're doing this in a more conscious way. More conscious way. Jamie says that as we carry the cradleboard on our backs, this is metaphorically, we will carry the children of future dreams who is becoming manifest through our love. We are all responsible for all of the tomorrows to come. The cradleboard is our reminder. We can protect the future by responding to the now, right? We can protect the future in how we respond in the now, in the present. And, keeping in our minds and hearts that our decisions affect everything and everyone, as our vibration affects everything and everyone, and our decisions affect the next 7 generations. And, we can see it in our own personal lives, in our own homes, our own communities. And we can also affect, even on a larger scale, in our cities and nationwide in the world. We saw it happen in Standing Rock, and how many people came together in the protection of the water. That's not done yet. That effort, the no DAPL effort, is not finished. There's many more court cases being heard. There was 851, or was it 31 cases that needed to be heard in a small court system in North Dakota. And so they're working on the last ones, the last cases. That's not done. We're still holding energy for that. We're still praying for that. And those water protectors, and putting their life, literally their life, on the line in some cases. That peaceful, prayerful people standing up against a large corporation who hired military, private mercenaries, militarized a local police force. Yeah, they stood up. They're still standing up. They're still making those decisions on how to affect their world now, and how it affects in the next 7 generations. So people are still, those are the Rainbow Warriors. Cradleboard, ability to respond. The application of the card. Jamie Sams writes that the Cradleboard says that the child that you're carrying is your future. If you wish to influence it, you must respond now. You must respond in the present. Whatever your situation, the ability to respond is called for. Don't sit and wait for someone else to do something. Use your creativity. Speak your truth and respond. You're being reminded that it's your responsibility to find your own answers and act upon it. In other words, trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. Take in the vital information, discern it, tap into your spiritual guidance, and say, show me, I want to see this with clarity. What's really here? What is the best decision I can make for the highest good? Yeah. All right. She says that you are being reminded that it's your responsibility to find your own answers. Okay. And you can respond in a way that will promote your growth. Look at how you can use your personal medicine to respond in the situation and how that action will make you grow. Make you grow. I like this card about the Cradleboard. It's about taking care of the future generations and how we use our gifts and our talents right now in the present that affects the future. So it's our ability to respond. Well, Mervyn Kelly I thought you would be asleep by now, Mervyn. It's late by you. He's over in England. Thank you for joining us, though. I appreciate it. Elise said, I might just rent a car. Be a big surprise. Well, you're welcome anytime, Elise. And in fact, I just had a meeting with my good sister, our friend, Minnie Kansman. And Minnie's got some good stuff coming up in the future that I'm going to be helping her with. And hello, Nellie Kelly, Mervyn Kelly. Minnie and I are teaching a class together here in September. And we're taking a spin off from a class that we taught 6 years ago. And it was over in Olivet College for the Great Lakes Retreat. We co-taught a class. We're going to resurrect parts of that. And we're calling it, we just came up with the name yesterday. We're calling it Star Nations Academy Presents an Introduction to Hogwarts or something like that. And so we're deciding on what kind of divination we're going to teach. I would imagine it's going to have something to do with pendulums and divination cards. We're going to maybe incorporate some wand information, a little hands-on, making your own wand. So Elise, what I'm saying is that come over in September. It's the weekend of the 22nd, September 22nd. And so that way we can meet you in person, and Minnie will be here, and you can spend some time with Mom. And yeah, September 22nd. I know I got to get those classes, those registrations for them out. I just need another maybe 3 or 4 hours in a day and to get things caught up. I do. Let's take a look at Jamie Sam's poem for the Cradleboard card. We like her poems, right? All right, so here's her poem. She says, Cradleboard of creation, protect this child from harm. Child of all tomorrows, sleep safely in my arms. Until the time you will awake, then you will be able to respond in kind to humanity. Yeah, so, you know, the decisions we make today and how we respond today affects the future, affects the children. So using our talents and using our gifts and trying to make the best decision we possibly can, learning how to discern all of that. That's what this Earth Walk is all about. My hair. That's what our Earth Walk is all about. Yeah, that experience and learning our life lessons and how we incorporate and use our gifts in that expression of our life, right? And helping us to make those the best decisions that we can. I love it. Love it. I love Tuesdays. And I love you guys. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. I need to get back down to Mom. I'm looking at the time. She needs me in about 5 minutes or so. And to move on with the rest of the day. You guys will probably see me a little bit later. I need to help promote the magazine. We published on the 10th for the June issue, and I want to show you a couple of the highlighted articles because I think you're going to like them, especially if you like cats. You're going to love them. So anyway, have a good Tuesday. Please join us for the other shows that are coming up. Next up is Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. And you can find her show, live stream show, on Chakra Sessions fan page. And then after that, this evening is my show, Communications from Home, 8 p.m. With Carl and Ortune Franklin. And we're going to be talking about the ego. So have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bama Mina on the next card draw.